And hello, thank you for stopping by. This is Misfits, Wanderers, and the rest of us, and I am your host, Rich Levesque. Got a pretty awesome episode today, as we do every day. Well, every day we do an episode. We don't do an episode every day, but you get what I'm saying. The title of this one is Free Flow, and my guest is Emily Lynch. Emily is based in San Diego, and she is a yoga instructor, Reiki healer, intuitive coach, and all-around kick-ass human. We went all kinds of different directions on this episode, which is why I call it Free Flow, because that is exactly what we did. We went from talking about food rewards to Taco Bell, Wheel of Fortune, and Jeopardy. We also shifted gears and we talked about what becoming our best selves can look like, going to the damage that we've caused ourselves in life because of our own trauma, learning to communicate our own needs, falling in love with yourself before being ready to fall in love with another, and how ultimately we all have an amazing story, whether we see it or not. A lot of really great stuff in there. Some of it's light and some of it's pretty heavy, and it's all delicious and worthwhile. I will note there were a couple of instances where M's audio got a little funky and it sounded like she was a little bit underwater, and I chose to keep most of it in because the content was, in my opinion, too good to pass up. It's going to be a little over 30 minutes in, and it's about 5 or 6 minutes, and then it comes back. So just throwing that out there for the sake of transparency, and I hope you enjoy this episode as much as we enjoyed recording it. This book, we're live. Thing. We are live. Oh, I did it. I feel like I deserve a cookie for this.
I think so. So. I'm not big on food rewards, but I mean, why wouldn't you deserve a cookie?
Yeah, back in the day, food was very much a reward thing. Mm-hmm. Not only was it candy would be kind of a reward.
Yeah.
But also, I was one of those who was very much, you better clean your plate. And, my parents could play the waiting game. Oh, God, they were good. We would get past the news and we would get past Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune, and they would wait me out. My brother would have like 3 cookies and he'd be like, "Hey, look what I got." And they're like, got him in my face. And I'm like still there pissed off about my green beans.
Oh, yeah. I wasn't much of like a plate cleaner. If I liked the food, like I would lick the plate, but it wasn't like enforced. They always said to clean your plate, but it was never enforced. My mom is a guru with leftovers, so we just put it back. We're all eating as a family. So she's like, all right, you won't eat it today. You're going to have it in something else tomorrow.
I actually got myself into the habit of, once I learned that cleaning my plate got me what I wanted, then, all of a sudden, man, I was eating everything. I'm like, oh, wow, I don't get in trouble. What? If I eat seconds, I could get more, and I get the cookie. So that worked really well through, oh gosh. And then that turned into me learning how to binge when I was 15, 16. And it wasn't really the cookies. It wasn't even the candy.
Yeah.
There was pizza. If there was pasta, anything with flour, I would demolish.
Yum.
I got away with it until I was about 30 and my metabolism changed. And all of a sudden.
Yeah. I just hit 30 and I used to be like, I'm 31 now. And I used to hear people say, wait until your metabolism changes. You won't be able to eat all that anymore. I have never had trouble eating. I've been a very good eater my whole life. I would ask for seconds if I liked it and if I wanted more. Like zero problems as far as eating, like constantly. And I graze all throughout the day too, like a handful of almonds here. Like I have peanut butter cups sitting right next to me. It's just always, I love food, man.
Yeah.
Carbs especially. Pizza. I have pizza in the refrigerator right now. It's been my last 2 meals. It's delicious. I love pizza. I get exactly what I want on it. Like, it's perfect. It's the perfect meal for me. Pizza, burritos, and sushi are like my 3 main food groups.
That works. Although I've never eaten sushi.
You've never eaten
I think
sushi?
I might be the one person left. Yeah, I can't do it.
Not even like a fried roll? I got hooked with a fried roll. They started me out. They're like, well, this one's cooked. It's deep fried. You'll like it. And I did. And I never went back. Now I'll eat like sashimi, which is just the fish. Like, I'll eat a whole plate of toro, the salmon belly sashimi. I call it the bacon of the sea. It is delicious.
Okay, now you're starting to get my attention.
I'll get you on. If you make your way out to San Diego, I will turn you on to sushi. I love sushi. Sushi and curry. Japanese curry. It's so sweet and so spicy. Yeah. I make peanut butter curry ramen. And I make sure to have as many veggies as I do ramen noodles. And that's my version of balance. I'm like, if I'm going to eat the junk, because ramen's junk. Like, it's amazing. But if you're making it at home out of
junk.
Packaged fried noodle, it's junk. So I make sure to put at least a salad worth of veggies into my ramen. And then I feel like it's not as bad. It's actually kind of good.
Basically, you're making a soup and you're putting everything in it. It's not just like what I used to do in college. Okay, slam the package into the hot pot because you're too broke to go to the cafeteria, and there you go.
And boom, you have a meal. It's hot, it's salty, it's great. It's the perfect like broke kid food.
Yeah, you feel full when you're done, so you felt like you actually
got some
substance. No nutrition, but substance.
Yeah.
And oh my goodness.
Perfect. What else? Oh, what are your junk food like go-tos?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, and Nora's on board with you. She's like, I should try to fried sushi.
Yeah, it's so good. And hi, Nora, my Hoosier friend. I miss your face.
But anyway, to answer your question, as far as my go-to junk food, I can go for fries. I can crush fries, occasionally chips. I don't always go for candy or things that are like really sugary because I feel like when I get a lot of sugar in me at once, I feel like hot garbage afterwards.
Oh, yeah. That's how I feel eating meat. Chicken or beef, hot garbage. It just doesn't react well with my system anymore. I haven't had red meat in probably over 12 years. It's been well over 10. Chicken. I'll admit, when I used to get really drunk, I'd go and get Mexican food and get like a chicken burrito and then wake up the next morning and be like, oh, what have I done? What have I done? It's double the hot garbage when you throw drinking in the mix. Yeah.
Now, I have to ask this question because of my own experience. When you say Mexican food, do you really mean Mexican food, or are you just politely saying Taco Bell?
No, Mexican food. I live in San Diego. Like, taco shops are open 24 hours out here. Taco Bell is not. And don't get me wrong, I like to put potatoes in a gordita crunch. Take out the meat, just potatoes in a gordita crunch. Oh my God, the pita, the cheese, it's plastic cheese. It's so good.
Now, let me tell you, when I was asking you that question, that was my honest admittance that that's what we used to do. We would go hit Taco Bell afterwards.
Yeah.
And it would double my hangover the next morning. Because we didn't have really good Mexican food up here. It's gotten a lot better now. There's good places now. But in my 20s, there was Taco Bell.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Oh, yeah. That hurts my heart. Oh, man. The last time I went to Taco Bell was my first gist.
Oh, yeah?
I needed the comfort food. I needed the like crunchy, soft gordita crunch. Like, that's the last time I was there. Yeah. There's something to be said about it. It's really soothing to go and know that you can get the exact same thing at any fast food place. Like any Taco Bell you go to, if you ask for that, there's like it's reliable. You can trust it, especially when you're drunk. It's just like, I know I can get exactly what I want at this place. They will have it. I want salty. I want carbs. I even want the plastic cheese. Yes, please. Can I get extra? I like extra plastic cheese. And it's great. Like, I'm not knocking Taco Bell. My grandpa loves Taco Bell. Loves the place. Taco Bell and Chick-fil-A are his like He knows the workers there.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Chick-fil-A is another one. Like back when I would eat that stuff.
Yeah.
Thankfully, even now they've started to come up this way, but they're at least 30 minutes away from me now. So there's that. There's no impulse. My niece loves Chick-fil-A. She loves Taco Bell too. Both of the kids do. My niece and my nephew both are all over that. I wonder if it was the first time I went to Chick-fil-A. It was down south. It was in Georgia. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I see these commercials all the time up here. And, they're funny with the cows and stuff. And I've never been in one. I walked in, me and my Massachusetts accent, and they could pick out that I was not a local. So, the counter was like, have you been to a Chick-fil-A before, sir? I'm like, no. How can you tell? And then she was just like, well, when we have somebody here for the first time, we give them free ice cream. And I'm like,
I never got free ice cream my first Chick-fil-A visit.
I don't know if they just don't do it anymore, because this would have been 2009, 2010. So this is going way back.
Yeah.
Because they probably would have gotten kids. Like, I would have totally done this as a kid. I would have gone as soon as every time I saw somebody new at the counter, be like, hey, it's my first time here. Ice cream me up. And I imagine they must lose all kinds of money with bratty kids like my younger self taking advantage of loopholes and just bleeding ice cream.
I'm okay with bleeding Chick-fil-A dry for the sake of free ice cream. That would be all right with me. They're donating all this money to, anti-LGBTQ causes. I'm okay with swiping a free ice cream for the cause.
True.
I would do that.
Penance.
Yeah. Come on, guys. You got tons of money. You're using it for these flagrantly violating human rights causes. Let's divvy out the ice cream now. Come on.
Now that you mention it, I think I might corrupt other people into learning how to do that. Because I'm one of those, there's places that I will not go to, but I don't necessarily believe in boycotts. And the reason why I don't is because these big companies, they've buffered themselves. You're not going to hurt a CEO. They've planned that out. They know who does get hurt is the single mom of 3 trying to make a rent. It's going to be the people that need the money that get screwed.
Yeah.
And there's counter arguments to that, of course, that are valid, but that's my take on boycotts. For me, it's just, you can just make habits of doing better at going to places that ultimately there's going to be times where you're going to have to go to some place where you kind of don't feel good going in because it might be the only game in town and you have to get A, B, and C, but trying to do better at finding the alternatives and finding places that feel good for you and really kind of focus on that. What feels good? What feels light? What takes you out of a lack mindset instead of not worrying about, oh crap, if I get it over here, I spend $1.20 less, which it's easy to get into that space. I know it from my own experience. It's trying to just put the number puzzle together. And
my perspective on that is that my money is my energy. It is a token of my energy. I am not going to tell anyone else where they should spend the tokens of their energy, but I'm going to spend my energy with local businesses like coffee. I used to be the huge Starbucks fan. Huge. Had a membership since 2010. I was one of their gold members and had that fancy card that was really shiny. And then I realized I am putting all of my energy into this major corporation that is really they're okay as far as how they treat their employees. They have a really nice scholarship program for their employees that do want to continue their education. But other than that, it's still a minimum wage slinging coffee job. And they have to put up with so much. I just don't want to go in there and be like, hi, I want my venti quad quint if you can. Venti caramel macchiato. Yeah. I go to local shops now and I'll spend my money at somewhere here in San Diego. I really like Lofty or Better Buzz, which is growing rapidly. Their coffee is really good though, so I helped with that a lot. But there's here in San Diego, there are alternatives. There are local mom and pop shops that are alternatives. I know that's not the case everywhere. I know I'm super privileged that I get to live in a place where I can shop local and shop small and afford to shop local and shop small. These are mom and pop shops. They're not able to mass produce things the way that larger corporations are. They're going to cost more.
Yeah.
And so I get that it's a super privileged place to be able to be conscious of, yeah, I'm paying more, but it's going back into my community. You know, I'm getting some kid their piano lessons or dance lessons instead of getting some CEO one of the payments on their Ferrari or Lambo, you know, to each their own.
Right. But I hear you. Like, actually, before the pandemic, I used to go and I would bounce around coffee shops because I would go and write or go and get things done. And if I'm sitting in the house, there's all kinds of distractions. I would tell myself a story that I like to work a little later in the day. So I needed to make sure that I had to go to Starbucks because they were open until 8. And I couldn't go anywhere else because they were closed at like 3 or 4 because they would be open for the morning, and then they would whatever afternoon, maybe lunch rush, and then they were done.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden I realized, well, I could always just go do it earlier in the day and go to the gym later on, or still do other things that I can get accomplished. And go figure. They know you. They know what you want.
That's why I worked in dive bars. My favorite places that I've worked have been dive bars, where I'm the end all be all of management because I'm the only one in the building. I knew a lot of my customers before they walked in the door. I'm like, Walt's late today. It's 3:15. He's usually here at 3. Who's gonna drink this Coors Light I poured in? But I love that little community camaraderie that happens in the local spots as well. You can feel an energetic difference. And it's a dive bar. It's full of neons. There's no windows. Like, there's no reason for that place to feel energetically good or soothing, but it does. So I'm convinced it's the people, it's the public house energy, that family camaraderie. Like, we don't all like each other, but that's a lot like family.
Right.
We all know each other. We all meet up here. Yeah.
One of the low-key fun parts of my day that I don't admit to myself is I love to hang out here and bitch about Larry over in the corner.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Larry and his stupid music. Why is he always playing the stupid music on the jukebox? Jeez, Larry. It's a real thing.
Back again? Come on.
Oh, my God. Oh, I did used to hear like a decent amount of Nickelback in this bar I'm talking about. It was awful. It's just the amount of it that I heard was not great. I have nothing against Nickelback. Am I going to put them on myself? No. Am I going to wail when they come on? No. They're not.
They're harmless, but they're not my jam.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, they're okay. I mean, I don't want to be like, they're not noteworthy. Everybody knows who they are.
Either somebody somewhere actually does like them, a lot of them won't admit it, or somebody's pulling the wool and like it's like the greatest sham ever known to man because we're just getting inundated with.
I just there's this song that I keep hearing, but it's just the one lyric, look at this photograph on repeat. It's just going around. It's just, look at this photograph. And then it starts again. Look at this photograph. Yeah. My brain's a trip.
But how many times do you get to see that Nickelback guy that I can't remember his name holding that frame and there's something in it?
Yeah. I haven't seen the meme. I saw the music video. It's like him walking around an abandoned train station or a very empty train station. It looks very middle America. Very just off of Main Street.
Although I think they're Canadian, so it might have been somewhere in Canada too. I mean, I don't know. But.
You just blew my mind. Are they Canadian?
They are Canadian.
That's true. Like I said, it's not one of my favorite bands. But I know who they are. Yes, now I know where they're from.
If this other stuff doesn't work out, I can always just go back to useless music information and just create something off of that.
Yeah, now I know. I used to be engrossed by Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy, just so you know. When you were like, the news was done and then Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy came on, and I was like, oh, that's late, man.
Yeah.
But then I used to turn it on in my bar when I was bartending because I was watching it. Now that I say that out loud, I'm like, I probably wasn't the greatest employee at that place. But I love Jeopardy. I cried when Alex Trebek died. Yeah. I cried. Yeah.
Many.
He was just a good human. Yeah, absolutely.
Now I have a question for you.
Yes.
When out in San Diego, is it Wheel of Fortune first and then Jeopardy? Or is it the other way around?
Wheel of Fortune, then Jeopardy.
Okay, because that's what we grew up with.
Yeah.
And somewhere in high school, a couple of buddies were watching it, and we thought that's just what happened. That was like canon or some sort of law that Wheel of Fortune would come first. So we believe that they set us up with Wheel of Fortune because we're sitting there and we're like, we always know what the answer is before anybody else does. And I figured everybody did. So it's like, all right, you're feeling good. You're feeling smart. You are feeling like you can crush life. And then all of a sudden Jeopardy comes on and you're just like,
yeah, you don't know nothing.
Yeah.
You don't know a damn thing. What mid-century author wrote this tale about so-and-so? I don't know. I still don't know. I heard the answer. I still don't know. Jeopardy's hard. I was always impressed when I had like a good Jeopardy match, shouting at the TV. I felt really good after watching it. And like, I knew at least a quarter of those answers. That was a really good game.
When I was hadn't been still in high school. My grandfather used to have this it was a glorified calculator is what it was. And he would answer and he would keep track of the score. And it would set up like you could do it one player or two or three players. You could have other people in the house. You could have a competition and see who got it.
Yeah.
I was 16 at the time. And I'm like, all right, let's go, old man. For whatever reason, I was feeling really cocky that day. And I got lucky. There was like 3 or 4 topics that I hit and I was just rolling on them. And it was really close until Final Jeopardy. We were within a couple hundred points.
Yeah.
And my
anybody's
dad and one of my uncles was there too. And they were like, okay, you got to pull it. You have to let him win. You have to let him win. That's just how it works.
What?
You let him win. And I was just like,
no. I didn't grow up in that family.
And so I don't remember what the question was, I don't remember what the answer was, but I ended up, we both got it, but I ended up wagering more than he did. So I ended up winning.
Yes.
And he got up, slams the thing down, storms off in his room and slams the door. They're all looking at me like I was the one who did something wrong. I'm like, he should have put a better bet.
Yeah. Yeah. Why'd you have to make it a competition if you're going to be such a sore loser? Like, what's up, man? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, it was well known in my family. Like, if we're competing, we're actually competing. There's none of this let them win stuff. There was no letting win growing up. It was like, no, we're all playing, and the winner's the winner.
Yeah.
Suck it up, Buttercup. Except Monopoly. I used to cheat at Monopoly all the time. I did. I made myself banker. Everyone knew I was just shit with math in general, but I would still claim banker before my sisters. Good times.
I'm pretty sure it's unwritten law that if you're the banker in Monopoly, you're going to cheat.
Yeah, it's like extra 200 each time you pass go, right? That's normal.
And, I didn't mean to take it off the $500 staff. I was going for the $100 all along. Yeah.
How much are these hotels? How about I just buy a hotel and skip the houses? That sounds good. That I can work with that. That's reasonable. Oh, yeah. I was not good at Monopoly.
No, I was very impatient, and I would either keep fighting to get something on Boardwalk or Park Place, and then totally miss opportunities in other spots, or I would just go all in on like Baltic Avenue and then end up having to sell it.
I can't remember what the yellows were, but I always wanted all the yellows. I was very like emotionally biased playing this game. I'm like, the yellows are mine. I think New York is one of the yellows.
Yeah, New York is one.
It's been so long. I don't know. Something Gardens.
Marvin's Gardens or something.
No, I feel like that was a green.
Was there another Gardens? Hold on.
I don't know. I was very biased toward getting all the yellows. And eventually my sisters caught on to this. And so we had this thing where we would trade properties or like sell each other our properties, black market deals in Monopoly. And then they started charging me like $2,000 to get the yellows, but I paid it because I wanted them. And basically, that sums up my financial state these days. Yeah.
All right. So in the yellow version, and I'm just realizing here that there's multiple versions.
What?
I was right now. Yeah. In the standard US version,
you're just blowing my mind, Rich.
There's Marvin Gardens, Ventnor Avenue, and Atlantic Avenue.
Yes.
But there's a mega edition, and then there's also California Avenue in the mega edition. So there's 4 instead of 3 yellow properties.
Yeah, that sounds excessive.
And in the UK edition, it's entirely different names. It's Leicester Square, Coventry Street, and Piccadilly.
Yeah, they model it after the major city. Ours happens to be New York. The US happens to be New York, and it's modeled after. That makes a lot of sense that the UK is like London.
Yeah.
I get it. I do love Monopoly. A house mom created Monopoly, like a housewife.
I did not know that.
A housewife made Monopoly.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And I think she sold it for some menial price, like $500. I feel like it was less than $1,000. She sold the rights.
Oh.
Yeah. And it was originally intended as a game to like warn people of the evils of capitalism and how to like escape that treachery. And then Mattel got a hold of it and they were like, actually, we're going to make it really fun for everyone. Capitalism's great.
To quote the philosopher Alanis Morissette, isn't it ironic? Don't you think?
She's a wild philosopher and a highly sensitive person.
That does not
her lyrics evoke so many emotions. They utilize so much imagery. I kind of love Alanis Morissette. I have a lot of respect for that woman.
She's badass.
Yeah.
And it's funny. My niece was starting to listen to Jagged Little Pill. And we were talking about a year ago. Actually, it was longer now. It was before the pandemic started. And she was planning the tour. And my niece was talking about, she's going out. It's the 25th anniversary. And I'm like, I went to the first Jagged Little Pill tour.
Yeah.
I totally did. I feel old.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was at the Destiny's Child reunion tour. They'd already disbanded and had a reunion tour by the time I was in high school. Now Beyonce's still doing all her magical stuff. I'm in awe of Beyonce's career, honestly. Like, I love singing. I've always loved singing. Oddly, Taylor Swift was born a year after me. So I'm always like comparing my life to Taylor Swift's. She's like a week and a year after me. Or like not a week and a year. Just a week shy of a year younger than me. So I'm always like, how many platinum albums does she have now? That's right. That's right. Okay. She's dating who now? Oh, good. Good for her. I don't have any platinum albums. Who am I dating? Me, first and foremost. Yeah. Yeah. It's going well. It's a very promising relationship. But to have that constant, like, they're just such powerhouse women, and I look up to and admire them so much. And I look at me and I'm like, I'm doing pretty well with what all I'm working with.
Yeah, you're doing just fine to me.
Oh, yeah. There's more. There's more coming. I just needed to rest. I had a lot of trauma that I wouldn't acknowledge, and I was just schlepping it around on my back, and it was really heavy, and I actually really needed to rest. But this funny thing, I just learned this funny thing happens. Once I get to the point of exhaustion, I go into trance mode. And so I'm like not even here. I'm checked out. And so it's really hard for me to understand when I need rest because I check out. I'm like, body's too tired. I'm out of here. No thanks. This doesn't feel good. I'm gonna head to Jupiter. See you guys in a month. Yeah. Now that I'm more aware of that and actually taking rest that I need, my life's coming together pretty nice.
Nice.
Yes. We're just trucking along, moving along. I taught my first retreat, Wild Emergence, out in Sedona. Holy hell. I had no idea I was in for such an intense experience. I mean, it's Jamie, so I knew it was going to be intense.
Right.
But I was like, I'm tough. I'm not tough. I check out when I get exhausted. That's not true. I'm tough, and I check out when I get exhausted.
Yeah, there's plenty of room for both.
But that was a trip on many levels. Many, many levels. I can speak now without having anything planned to say. That's new. That's super new for me. And I love it. Like, to have no topic on here prior would have been incredibly anxiety inducing. Like, oh my, what am I even going to say? Like, what are we even talking about? How can I choose the appropriate words and how to present myself in the appropriate way if I don't even have a topic?
I can relate to that. I struggle with not having everything tied together. I feel like I need to have a script. I have to have it memorized. Yes. It has to be perfect. And if I don't know exactly what it is I'm going to say, then that old stammer from when I was a kid starts to pop in. And no, because I feel like I have to fill in the space and I don't know the exact words. So I'm just going to keep making sounds until it happens.
Yeah.
So I still get stuck on that, but that's part of why I'm doing this the way I'm doing it. And
I love it. I'm really grateful you are.
And the crazy thing is, it was inspired by watching some of the stuff that my niece and nephew do. They're in their teens, and their life is Twitch feeds and watching gamers on YouTube, and some of them have podcasts, and they'll have thousands of people on their feeds. And you know what? They have no plan. They're just playing games and bullshit. They just yammer on about whatever, or there's like 2 or 3 of them, and they're having a conversation like the kids would have at the lunch table at school. But just talking. There isn't sometimes really deep things happen. They don't have to.
Yeah.
Sometimes it just goes where it needs to go. I feel like love the idea of having community where you can go where you need to go and go head deep and all of that. But you don't have to be there all day, every day. You don't. Sometimes
Absolutely.
you just get to be silly, and that's where your authenticity is.
Yeah.
In being a damn kid, being that 5-year-old. For me, it was a 5-year-old chasing people around with a microphone, getting them to talk to me.
Yeah.
Or do the same thing with like my stuffed animals or whatever, because it was what felt good. And for other people, it was dancing or singing or just playing in dirt.
I love playing in dirt too.
Oh God. Yeah. I love
all these things.
I used to make these like mud pies, and I'd be like, "This is lunch for Oscar the Grouch."
I had Oscar the Grouch on my 3rd birthday cake, and I chose him, which is why I had him for my 3rd birthday cake. I love Oscar the Grouch. I really, really do. From 3 years old, I understood his perspective and was like, "Yeah, that's my man."
Yes.
I don't know any other 3-year-old that's like, "I want Oscar the Grouch. That's what I want for my birthday." He was always so honest. He's just like, "Go away."
But the thing with Oscar is external gruff. Go away. Leave me alone.
Yes.
I'm going to eat my dirt and paste. Slam down the garbage can. But he was a softie at the end of it.
Of course. That's why he needed all those defense mechanisms.
Yup.
Why he needed so many boundaries. Because he's just really fucking soft and squishy in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my gosh, this is an epic potential rant here. Like, Oscar the Grouch is the poster child of childhood defenses.
Oh, yeah. He's like the ultimate introvert. Yeah. That all of Sesame Street is like, "Come out of your trash can." And he's like, "Go away."
Learned that it worked for him. So he just slammed everything down. Nobody got in. And that's just how it was.
Yeah. I think I'm seeing an odd amount of parallels in my own life now.
Yeah.
3-year-old me knew a lot.
3-year-old's pretty damn with it.
I know a 2-year-old named Finley. She's like one of the smartest people I know. No joke. There's nothing this child says that's like, "Why? Well, that's weird. I don't really get that." Everything I've ever heard her say, I'm like, "Yeah, that makes sense. God, that makes so much sense. Are you sure you're just barely 2? You sound like a 60-year-old therapist." Like, I don't know if I'm buying this 2-year-old little body facade you've got in front of me. She's so smart.
Yeah. Amazement at watching these littles, and they don't give a shit. They're just gonna say what comes through. And then I look in the mirror, I'm just like, what happened? Where is some of that? It's almost like, in a way, adulthood is learning how to get that 2-year-old back.
Successful adulthood. I totally agree.
Good ad.
Totally agree. Like the adult that thrives is like the child that survived.
Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely lost my child for a while there. It was like, "Ooh, society says I should do this. Let me do this. I'll get married. I'll buy a house. Yeah, sure. Why not?" Inner child was screaming no, and adult Emily was not listening. She's like, "No, society says this. Yeah. You're a good girl. You're going to follow the rules, and you're going to do this." That's not where it's at.
Exactly. We learn that we're supposed to do things the quote unquote right way, whatever the hell that means.
That's bullshit propaganda.
Yes, it is.
There is no right way. I literally say that in every single class I teach in tree pose. There is no right way. There are a couple wrong ways, but there is no right way.
No.
The wrong way, by the way, is putting pressure on your knee. Your knees don't like it. And that's like the only wrong. That's just because it can cause harm. Harm is wrong. Don't harm yourself. Other than that, free game.
Yeah.
My little sproutlings.
Have you ever seen the video for No Rain by Blind Melon?
I love that song. I'm seeing a bee jumping in a puddle. I'm seeing someone in a bee costume jumping in a puddle. But that's all I got. Like, that's all I recollect of the video right now.
When you get toward the end of the video and bee girl gets to that place, the gate, I think it's a gate that opens up, and there's this lush green field, and there are all kinds of people in bee costumes just dancing around, having a great old time. And she's just like, "I'm home, bitches." And she just starts dancing along, and she's just in there with everybody else, and they're all dancing together. And that always just really, that end scene just always really hit me.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go and watch that video. Because that's what I feel like now that I've dipped my toes into the coaching world. all these people are interested in becoming the best version of themselves. And that's my family. Like that's what I'm interested in. Like ever since I got divorced, I'm like, no more. I can't be like, I consider my ex-husband collateral damage to my trauma. And I really, really cared about this person. Like really, really cared about this man, but I had no idea how to care for myself, let alone anybody else. And so he ended up being now what I consider collateral damage. Like our marriage is in the wake of my trauma. That's something I did. And I never wanted to hurt anyone like that again. That was super painful for me. So, I mean, we haven't talked about it, but I'm sure it was also incredibly painful for him to just have like 10 years evaporate overnight. And I couldn't do that to anyone again, especially not myself. But also not someone that I cared about as much as I did. And people will say, oh, I never really loved you if they were going to cheat on you, or they never really, well, I didn't know how to love. I didn't know how. And so just being unwavering in my will to not go back to that pattern of hurting anyone else and myself, and understanding that now within the coaching spectrum, like it's full of people who've had these painful experiences that they just don't want to deal with that kind of pain that was self-inflicted or self-caused. Coaching works, it's full of people like me who are like, I'm sick of causing pain. I'm sick of receiving pain. What can I do about it? And so it feels a lot like that. Like, oh my God, you guys are my people. Let's all dance and be happy together. I found you, my family.
Exactly. Learning how to have our needs met in a healthier way and being able to better communicate that is so much of it. You know, if we don't know how to communicate or tell people what we need, we start getting the idea that they can't provide it, and we go looking for it elsewhere. And all of this is not, and absolutely none of that is a conscious decision.
Yeah.
It just kind of happens until you start to see it and you start to bring it out of the subconscious and you start seeing, okay, I have a need for X, Y, and Z. And my responsibility is to ask for help in getting that need met and communicating it, because if you're with somebody, they're not Nostradamus. They're not going to know until it's made aware. And communication is so important, yet so many of us don't have a natural gift of it and don't know it's a thing we have to learn.
Yes.
Until we're in the middle of some shit show, either a marriage blowing up or some other situation where all there is pain all around.
Yeah. I had it in my head that I was a really good communicator because I could give people what they need. I could intuit what someone needs and give it to them. But I ended up full of resentments because I couldn't communicate my own needs. I couldn't recognize or communicate my own needs. And so this led to a lot of resentments in relationships even past my ex-husband. Like, ew. To put it very lightly, ew. Me not understanding my needs is one thing, and me not being able to communicate them is another. But me thinking that I'm this great communicator because I can intuit others' needs, like it just put this giant wall in front of me. And my needs were all of a sudden they were unheard by myself or anyone else. But there's this solid brick wall with that thought of, I'm a great communicator. I know how to get people what they want. And so I was thinking, I was really head heavy. I was thinking I was doing a great job communicating because I could meet anyone's needs. I would go above and beyond to meet anyone's needs. And I'm like, well, I'm totally holding up my end of the communication bargain. Somebody meet my needs. Anybody meet my needs. No one knew my needs. They're not Nostradamus. They're not Miss Cleo. They don't know my needs. I barely knew my needs. And so that barrier was really tough to get past. that like, but I am a good communicator. I've been in customer service for almost a decade. Like I'm good at this. I know. And that thinking that I knew was what was holding me back the whole time from actually knowing.
And what you think is knowing is just surviving.
Yep.
If you give, it keeps them in the room up until the point where you're completely depleted because there's no receive.
100%. I was like, karma's going to balance this out somehow. I give everything to everyone. Karma's going to return it to me. Not in the way that I thought.
Yeah. Karma kind of has its own thing, and it's not as clear
as I
think it is.
Yeah, it's a very good mirror. It's not a give and take thing. It's not transactional. It's not.
It's what do you need to learn? And I'm going to create all these shit shows and put them around you. And they're going to keep happening until eventually you figure it out.
You want to leave your marriage to explore another relationship and you think your life's going to be better in that new relationship? Oh, just wait. Here's a mirror. It's still you in the relationship until you fix that. Hard no. Everything's kind of out of place.
Why does this thing keep happening? The same result, different people over and over. Why are they all picking on me? Why am I not seeing the common denominator here, which is me? Oh, wait.
That's right. I never look at me. Shit. Oh, yeah. And I love people that are still in the place to have the audacity to be like, I attract narcissists. I know that's like a hot button issue.
Yeah.
Just the word narcissist is like, everyone's a narcissist these days. And we all have narcissistic tendencies. Who doesn't want to be liked? We've all got narcissistic tendencies. But to say, I just attract narcissists, I'm like, okay, so you're an unhealed empath that hasn't looked at your own self to see why this happens. And you're just continuing to blame it on the other. Okay. And I only say this having been that person. Like, I hold no judgment to that person. I love and am friends with some of those people. It also kind of gives me the chuckles now that I have looked at myself. And I'm like, oh, there is a reason why I keep attracting the same type of person. It's me. It's what's in my field.
Back, I did a post about, I didn't necessarily put it about narcissism, but you can easily go there with it. And I was talking about the concept of toxic to you. And how people, you have people that, you know what, there may be something about your relationship with them and it brings out the absolute worst in you or in them or in both. And it doesn't mean that they couldn't go and figure it out with somebody else.
Yeah.
And I was really going on in there.
That person was toxic.
Right. And
that relationship was probably toxic. But that person, that doesn't mean that person is. Yeah. And
did that not go over well?
Yeah.
I had a lot of
people don't like hearing that they might be the problem. Or even a part of the problem.
Right. And it does now, when I say that doesn't mean that if somebody is just a really abusive piece of shit, that, it must have been something you did. Like, no.
Yeah.
But there could be something about what is it that is a constant that makes it easier for you to get into that situation.
Yes. And what boundaries did you not uphold to allow this one in? Yeah.
The situation's not your fault, but the solution is your responsibility.
Yes. That's just life.
Exactly. It's up to you to fix it so that you can avoid the next asshole.
Yeah. Entirely. Honestly, I think that's why I've been single for so long, is because I'm like unwilling to adventure and find out who's an asshole or not. I'm just unwilling at this point. I'm like, I'm not healed all the way. I'm not going to attract anyone healthy. And there's no all the way healed. And I do understand that. Of course, you can have really deep relationships during your healing that might even support your healing and growth. But I don't think I'm there yet. I really don't. I would like to be on solid footing, like financially. That's a real like self-worth issue for me. to not be on solid financial footing. Now that the pandemic's lifted, I'm well on my way there. But that's one of the things that's really held me back from dating. Like, I want to be in a place where I feel really good about myself and accept nothing less than I would be able to give myself from anyone else. And right now, it's not where I am.
Makes sense. And maybe it's about just getting to that space internally and finding that peace with yourself, with not worrying about X thousands of dollars or why dating, and just really just going for that for yourself. And then once you get there, then the rest of it falls into place.
That's what I'm banking on. That's how I see it working out, honestly. Like, I have my career in order. I have my own home life in order. And anyone I invite into my life after that, we'll see how it goes. I'd love to journey with someone, just not yet.
Right.
I'm having fun learning how to journey on my own and really trust my own bearings, my own direction. It will come in time.
All you need to do right now.
Yes. And it's just like, I understand that I'm where I need to be. And right now, that's with me. Like, I spent my formative years in a relationship. From 15 to 25, I was in a relationship. I honestly don't need any more time in a relationship at this point in time. I learned a lot and can grasp a lot from that and the subsequent relationships. And I really feel I need to be on my own and just understand what life means to me as myself, as that surviving child. And then that child's going to find somebody else around the sandbox.
Right.
And then we can like journey and storm around the jungle gym together.
And ultimately, if down the road things fall into place, you're still going to want to have your journey. They're still going to have their journey. And then there's creation of there's 3 journeys. And that second one, connecting for the third one, happens the right person, the right moment. Why stress?
Oh, yeah. I'm convinced. I'm also really focused on like friendships now. Like, I'm so in love with love right now. Parental love, childhood love, friendship love, the love of food. Like, I just love right now. I'm at this point in my life where I'm in love with everyone for exactly who they are. And I've never experienced this before in my life. Like, I feel like I'm on a new planet where I can just be open and vulnerable with almost anyone. And it's amazing. And I'm sure one of these days my heart's going to get trampled on. And I'll be like, oh, why did I trust that person? But right now, I love everybody. Everybody. It's just like, we're all so complex. Every stranger that you pass has their own intricate story with other stories woven into it. We've all got our own version of trauma and our own version of true happiness.
Yeah.
Each person is like a novel that's never been written and that no one might ever know if they never feel vulnerable or comfortable enough sharing. But each person is this walking history book of emotions. And that just fucking fascinates me. Like, I'm in awe just being around people again. I don't know if that's because, we were isolated in COVID, or if it's the wild emergence or some kind of combination of all the spiritual, intellectual work I've been doing. But damn, like, I'm in love with humanity. Straight up.
And I love that you went there, because I've been fascinated. I've been with that in the space off and on, even before COVID.
Yeah.
And I would love at some point down the road to create some sort of a project that's kind of like this hybrid of Profiles in Courage meets Humans of New York. And just...
I love Humans of New York. I don't know the other one.
Profiles in Courage is a book that John F. Kennedy wrote before he became president. And tales of older politicians and statesmen. And the ones he chose, in a lot of ways, were considered, quote unquote, failures for different reasons. And he talked about why that was, but then why that's also not sure when he told like whole stories about, and there was several different ones that he did. And why I like that so much as a tie-in is so many people have those stories. And I like the idea of calling them hero stories. You have your existence, you have your failure, you have your crash and burn, you have the thing you're trying to avoid.
You're lucky.
And then at the end, you have your moment where you get to shine at some point. You overcome. And everybody's had those moments where they've had to overcome. And sometimes they just don't even know it.
Yes. You just inspired a great quote in me. I don't know if I've seen it before or what, but every hero's journey starts as the fool.
Yeah.
Every single one. Like that's a part of the journey. That is the first experience of every hero's journey, is recognizing the fool.
And the fear of being accepted as the fool is oftentimes the obstacle that they have to get past to start the journey. Ooh, I get chills.
Yeah, I love that. Is that Campbell? Joseph Campbell? I forget who wrote The Hero's Journey.
I think it was. Looks like it's probably about time to wrap it up. I just had a blast.
That's so much fun, just shooting the shit with you. Like,
same.
I was like, do I bring up yoga? Do I bring up mindfulness? There was a lot of inner dialogue going on before I hopped on. But I'm super happy with our conversation.
Awesome. Me too. Is there anything you want to share that you want to put out there, Em?
Ooh. I just want to share with everyone that if you're having a rough time, to take it very easily on yourself. Life is hard enough as it is, and you will do yourself worlds of good by being the balance to life, by being easy and peaceful within yourself. Breathe deep and easy.
Amen.
Yeah.
A lot comes back when you just take a breath. All righty. It's good talking to you. Thank you, Em. Oh, that was fun. I hope you got as much value as I know I did. I just want to clarify a couple of things. One, I wanted to confirm that the hero's journey was in fact Joseph Campbell. And additionally, I want to clarify, when we were talking about Monopoly, we thought that the US version used streets in New York City, which makes sense, of course. I have since learned, wait for it, that Monopoly, the streets were actually from Atlantic City, New Jersey, which I did not know. And now I do. And now you do. I think it ties into, toward the end, the line that Em came up with is really quite powerful. How every hero's journey starts as the fool. And ultimately, every single one of us does get to play both of the roles. We come in as a blank slate. We can't not play the fool. We have to start somewhere. We learn to be the hero from our experience as the fool. And it's important to be able to embrace both. It's all part of the journey. And yes, at certain points, we all get to play the hero. It may not be anything big in the whole scheme of the world knowing about it, but there's somebody in your life where at some point you've been their hero. Maybe you know it, maybe you don't, but it's true. You can find Emily out on Instagram. Her handle is @waxlotuswellness, all together. If you need help spelling it out, it will be in the show notes. I'd love to hear what people think of this episode. We went a lot of places, and there's a lot to take in. Would love to hear what you think. Shoot me a comment, shoot me a message. If content like this rocks your world, please like, subscribe, share, follow, spread the word, tell a friend, tell an enemy. I appreciate that you spent your time with us today, and for that, I'm absolutely grateful. I'm Rich Levesque. This is Misfits, Wanderers, and the rest of us. Take care, be safe, and be well. All content is the property of the respective creators. All opinions are solely those of the participants and do not reflect those of any of the hosting platforms. Misfits, Wanderers, and the rest of us is produced through Beacon Road Ministry. Copyright 2021, all rights reserved.